The jungle grew darker as he pressed on, and soon the thick canopy above blocked out much of the light. He switched on his flashlight, cutting through the darkness as he navigated through the dense underbrush. The ground was uneven, and he had to watch every step to avoid tripping on the hidden roots and rocks. After a long trek, Nathan finally came to a clearing. In the center stood a large, ruined ship, its once pristine hull now covered in moss and vines. This was it. The artifact was inside. As he approached the ship, Nathan's instincts went on high alert. Something didn't feel right. The ship's interior was dark and quiet, but he could sense movement from the shadows. He took a deep breath, preparing himself for whatever danger lay ahead. Inside the wreckage, the air was thick with dust. The walls were lined with strange symbols, written in a language that Nathan didn't recognize. The wreck had been here for a long time, abandoned and forgotten. But there, in the center of the room, sat the artifact, an ancient, glowing crystal encased in a force field. Nathan approached cautiously. His training told him to be careful, to look for traps, and to think before making any move. He studied the force field carefully, looking for any signs of how to deactivate it. His fingers hovered over a nearby control panel, but just as he was about to press a button, he heard a growl from behind him. He spun around, only to find himself face to face with another creature, a smaller but no less dangerous predator. This one was fast, with claws like daggers and eyes that glowed in the dark. Nathan knew that this mission was no longer just about retrieving the artifact. It was about survival. He had to think fast, fight smart, and outlast the dangers of this alien world. The once quiet atmosphere of the Galactic Summit had turned into something tense. As Nathan made his way through the dense jungle, risking everything for a single chance at winning the final challenge, his mind kept circling back to the moment he first laid eyes on Princess Sarah. She had been different from everyone else, cold, distant, and unmoved by all the other suitors who had fallen over themselves to impress her. Yet here he was, risking his life on a dangerous mission to prove that he could be the one to break through that icy exterior. Nathan's heart raced as he approached the artifact, the final piece of the puzzle. But his focus wasn't just on the prize anymore. It had shifted toward the princess. The way she had looked at him with both curiosity and challenge in her eyes stirred something deep within him. He knew that winning the competition was more than just an accomplishment. It was his chance to show her who he truly was, to show her that beneath his human exterior, he was someone worth respecting. As Nathan reached the artifact, he felt the tension that had built up in him over the course of the mission begin to melt away. He had made it. He had fought through the jungle, survived the wild creatures, and conquered every obstacle in his path. The artifact was now within his grasp, glowing faintly in the darkened ruins. But as he carefully reached for it, he suddenly felt a shiver crawl up his spine. Something was wrong. The air around him grew colder. A crackling sound filled the air, followed by an eerie silence. Nathan's instincts kicked in, warning him that someone was near. His hand hovered over the artifact, but he didn't dare touch it just yet. He quickly turned around, looking for the source of the disturbance. From the shadows of the ruined ship, a figure emerged. It was Princess Sarah herself. Her presence was commanding, and the aura around her seemed to shimmer with power. Her eyes, normally cold and unyielding, were now filled with something different. A strange warmth, perhaps even curiosity. She stepped forward with grace, her every movement fluid and almost hypnotic. "Do you always take such risks, Nathan Carter?" Sarah's voice was smooth, but there was an edge to it, one that suggested she wasn't just here for small talk. Her gaze locked with his, and for a brief moment, Nathan wondered if this was all part of another test. "I didn't come here to take risks, Princess. I came here to prove something," Nathan replied, his voice steady but with an underlying fire. He stood tall, despite the fatigue from the mission. "I came here to show you that I'm not just some human trying to win your favor. I'm someone who can stand by your side." Sarah's eyes narrowed slightly, studying him. "Prove it," she said simply. Her words were a challenge, and Nathan could feel it in his bones. It was as if she were testing him, searching for some hidden strength that had yet to be revealed. Before Nathan could respond, the air shifted again. A low, menacing growl echoed from the depths of the jungle. The ground trembled beneath their feet as something large and powerful moved toward them. Sarah's eyes flicked to the jungle's edge, her hand instinctively reaching for the weapon at her side. Nathan immediately stepped in front of her, placing himself between Sarah and the threat. "You don't have to protect me," Sarah said, her tone surprising him. "I can handle myself." Nathan glanced back at her, his protective instinct kicking in. "I'm not doing it for you, Princess. I'm doing it for me." He grinned, feeling the surge of confidence, knowing that this moment was his test too. "I've got a score to settle with this jungle." Without waiting for a response, Nathan lunged forward, sprinting into the undergrowth where the growls had come from. Sarah followed closely behind, her speed almost unnatural as she kept pace with him. Together, they moved as one, like a well-coordinated team. Nathan's human endurance and strength, combined with Sarah's alien agility and precision. They reached the clearing where the beast, a massive predator, was waiting. Its glowing eyes locked onto them, its jaws snapping as it prepared to charge. Nathan wasted no time. He threw himself to the side, narrowly avoiding the creature's strike as it lunged at him. He rolled to his feet and quickly grabbed a large stone, hurling it toward the creature's face. Zara's movements were a blur. With a quick series of movements, she took the beast down with precision. She slashed through its thick hide, her weapon flashing as she expertly disarmed it. In mere seconds, the creature was no longer a threat. Nathan watched in awe as Sarah's skills took over, and for the first time, he realized just how much she was capable of. The princess was not just powerful, she was a force to be reckoned with. As the dust settled, Nathan stood there, staring at her in disbelief. Sarah didn't even break a sweat. She turned to face him, her expression unreadable. But there was something in her eyes, a flicker of respect, perhaps even admiration. "You handled yourself well, human," Sarah said, her tone softer than before. Nathan smiled, his confidence growing. "We make a good team." Sarah tilted her head slightly, her gaze lingering on him for a moment longer. Perhaps. The two of them stood in the clearing, the jungle around them still and quiet once again. Nathan could feel the weight of their situation. The stakes were high, but something had shifted between them. The princess was no longer the cold, unapproachable figure who had rejected every suitor. She was beginning to see him in a new light, and that made Nathan feel like he had finally cracked through her icy shell. "I never thought I would see the day when a human could impress me," Sarah said, her voice thoughtful. "But you've done it, Nathan. You've shown me that humans are not as weak as we once thought." Nathan nodded, his eyes never leaving hers. "There's more to us than meets the eye, Princess, and I'm just getting started." Sarah studied him for a moment longer before her lips curled into a faint smile. It was subtle, but it was there, and for Nathan, it felt like a victory. The princess's walls were starting to crumble, piece by piece. But as he moved to take the artifact once more, Sarah held out a hand to stop him. "Wait." Nathan paused, turning back to her. "What is it?" "There's one more thing you need to prove, Nathan," she said, her voice more serious now. "If you truly want to win my heart, you'll have to face your greatest fear. Only then will you truly understand what it means to be worthy of me." Nathan's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Zara's eyes glinted with a challenge. "The final test, Nathan, is not the artifact. It's what happens next. If you can face the darkness within you and come out the other side, only then will I believe you are ready." Nathan took a deep breath. He didn't know what kind of darkness Sarah was talking about, but he knew one thing for certain: he would face it. He had already overcome every physical challenge thrown at him. But this was personal, and if it was the key to winning Zara's heart, he would face it head on. "I'm ready," he said, his voice steady. Sarah gave a small nod, a flicker of something almost like approval in her eyes. Then let the final challenge begin. The darkened skies above the planets seemed to ripple as a strange energy filled the air. Nathan could feel it in the pit of his stomach, a heavy weight pressing down on him. Sarah, the powerful and untouchable princess, was standing beside him, her expression unreadable as they faced the final challenge. This time, there would be no beasts to fight, no physical obstacles to overcome. It was just them, alone in this foreign world, about to face something far more dangerous than any jungle or predator. Sarah's eyes bore into him, her gaze both intense and calculating. The princess had always been one to reject all those who came before her, including the mightiest warriors and most charming suitors. Yet here Nathan was, a simple human, standing beside her in the heart of an alien world. He had passed all her tests, overcome every trial, but now he faced the greatest challenge of all, proving his worthiness not just through his actions, but through his heart. You've proven yourself in every way possible, Nathan. Sarah's voice was soft, almost distant. You've shown strength, skill, and determination. But now you must face the truth. Nathan furrowed his brow, unsure of what she meant. His heart was still pounding from the last test, the one where they had to fight together to survive against the monstrous creature. What truth? He asked, his voice steady but laced with curiosity. Sarah turned to him, her eyes flickering with something like hesitation. For the first time, she didn't seem so sure of herself. The truth of who you are. The truth of what you can truly offer me and what you can't. She paused, as if weighing her words. I've pushed you to your limits, Nathan, and you've passed every challenge. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Nathan looked at her, confused. What don't you understand? She took a slow, deep breath. I spent my entire life surrounded by power, wealth, and influence. I've seen thousands of beings from all corners of the galaxy, each vying for my favor, each believing that they are the one who can conquer me. But you, her voice faltered for a moment. You're different. Nathan's heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? Sarah turned to face him completely, her expression finally softening for the first time since he had met her. I've always rejected everyone because I thought I needed someone as strong as I am. Someone who could match my power, my intellect, my position. But you? She paused again, almost as if the words were hard for her to say. You've shown me that maybe I was wrong. Nathan took a step closer, his voice gentle yet filled with sincerity. I'm not like them. Sarah, I'm not here to win you over with power or status. I'm here because I believe in us. I believe we can be something together that's real. Sarah's eyes flashed with a mix of emotions. There was doubt, confusion, and deep beneath it all, a flicker of something she had never allowed herself to feel before. Hope. But before she could respond, the ground beneath them shook once more, and the air crackled with a sudden, overwhelming force. A voice, cold and mechanical, echoed across the clearing. It was a voice that filled the air with an unnatural chill, one that sent a shiver up Nathan's spine. Princess Sarah, the voice boomed. Your actions have not gone unnoticed. The time has come for you to face the consequences of your choices. Nathan looked up, his heart racing. What's going on? Who's speaking? Sarah's face hardened, her hand instinctively going to her side to grip the hilt of her weapon. The Galactic Council, she whispered, her voice tense with barely concealed anger. They've come for me. From the shadows, an imposing figure stepped forward. An android, towering and cloaked in metallic armor. Its eyes glowed with an eerie, otherworldly light. You have been a disappointment, Princess. You've defied the expectations of your people. You've rejected those who were worthy of you. Now, the price for your defiance is here. Nathan felt the weight of the situation crashing down on him. The Galactic Council, the most powerful governing body in the galaxy, had sent their enforcers to punish Kara for her actions. But something about the android's words didn't sit right with him. This wasn't just about power. There was something deeply personal in the android's tone, something darker. The Valorian charged, moving with lightning speed. Nathan barely had time to react as the alien's long arms reached out to grab him. But Nathan was quick on his feet. He sidestepped the attack, narrowly avoiding the Valorian's grasp, and landed a quick punch to the opponent's side. The blow landed, but the Valorian recovered immediately, spinning around and aiming a kick at Nathan's chest. Nathan was ready. He blocked the kick with his arm and twisted his body to dodge the follow-up strike. With a burst of speed, he lunged forward, tackling the Valorian to the ground. The crowd roared in approval as the two fighters struggled for dominance, each trying to pin the other. For a moment, Nathan could feel his muscles screaming in pain. The Valorian's strength was impressive, but Nathan refused to back down. He used every ounce of his training and experience to fight back. Finally, with a move he had perfected during his military training, Nathan used the Valorian's momentum against him, flipping the alien onto his back and pinning him to the ground. The buzzer sounded, signaling the end of the match. Nathan stood victorious, panting for breath, but feeling a surge of pride. He had done it. He had beaten the odds. The crowd erupted in applause, and Nathan glanced up at the stands. But there, standing at the front of the audience, was Princess Valeria. Her eyes were cold, as usual, but there was a flicker of something in them, a hint of curiosity. She wasn't smiling, but Nathan didn't expect her to. Her gaze lingered on him for a moment longer than necessary before she turned away, signaling that the match was over and it was time for the next challenge. Nathan didn't let the moment distract him. There was still much to prove. He knew that the first challenge was just a warm-up. The real tests were still ahead, and he would need every ounce of strength, wit, and determination he had to get through them. As the next few rounds progressed, Nathan faced more challengers, each one stronger and faster than the last. Zorak, the Zarathian warrior, was a beast in combat. His sheer size and strength made him a formidable opponent, but Nathan was quick to notice that Zorak lacked the agility and strategy that Nathan had learned over the years. While Zorak relied on brute force, Nathan relied on his mind, using every trick he had to outmaneuver the giant warrior. The crowd gasped as Zorak, despite his overwhelming strength, struggled to keep up with Nathan's quick movements. Nathan used his smaller frame to his advantage, darting around Zorak's slow swings and landing blows when the warrior left himself open. Finally, with a swift punch to the jaw, Nathan sent Zorak crashing to the ground, much to the disbelief of the audience. Once again, the crowd erupted in cheers. Nathan's chest heaved with exhaustion, but he felt a surge of pride. He had proven that he wasn't just an underdog. He was a fighter, capable of taking on the galaxy's best. The final test was about to begin. It would be the toughest challenge yet, the one that would determine who would earn the right to stand before Princess Valeria. It was a test of endurance, intelligence, and the ability to think under pressure. Nathan had seen this test before, and he knew it would be brutal. But he wasn't afraid. He had come this far. There was no turning back now. The tension in the air was palpable as the final challenge loomed before Nathan Carter. The Galactic Summit was nearing its climax, and only a few suitors remained standing. Nathan, exhausted but determined, knew that this final test was unlike any he had faced so far. It wasn't just about strength anymore. It was about everything he had learned over the past few days: his resourcefulness, his survival instincts, and his ability to think on his feet. The announcement came through the loudspeakers, its voice booming across the arena. "Attention, suitors. The final challenge will begin immediately. This will be a test of your ability to complete a dangerous mission in an unknown environment. You will be sent to a hostile world where you will face deadly creatures, hazardous terrain, and environmental dangers. Your objective is to retrieve a rare artifact from a crashed ship and return it to the starting point. The first to complete the mission will be declared the winner." Nathan's heart skipped a beat. This was it. The ultimate test. There would be no room for mistakes. The stakes had never been higher. The artifact, a mysterious object of unknown power, was said to be one of the most sought-after treasures in the galaxy. But the mission wasn't going to be easy. The planet they were being sent to was known for its unpredictable weather and dangerous wildlife. And as the lesson continued, it became clear that this was just the beginning. There was more to learn, more to uncover about humanity's tactics and strategies, and the galaxy would have to adjust its perception of Earth if it hoped to stand a chance in the future. The tension in the room was palpable as the students anxiously awaited the next segment of their lesson. General Xelier had shown them the strategic brilliance of humanity, but now he was about to reveal something far deeper, the emotional core of human warfare. As he activated the next video, the classroom was suddenly filled with the sound of distant explosions and the screech of enemy weapons. The holographic display shifted to a chaotic battle on Earth. This was no ordinary battle. The footage showed human soldiers, armed with little more than basic tools, fighting desperately against an overwhelming alien force. The alien invaders were massive and technologically advanced, their weapons capable of obliterating entire battalions with a single strike. Yet the humans fought on, refusing to back down. They moved with surprising coordination, their faces set in grim determination as they pushed forward against impossible odds. The students watched in stunned silence as the humans engaged in brutal, close-quarters combat. They used whatever they could find, rocks, makeshift clubs, and even bare hands, to defend themselves and their loved ones. The aliens, with their superior technology, seemed confused by the ferocity of the humans. Every time they thought they had defeated one group of soldiers, another would spring up from behind cover, fighting with the same relentless intensity. There was no fear, no hesitation, just the will to fight, to survive, and to protect. As the footage continued, the students were struck by the sight of humans working together, strategizing in real time with nothing but their instincts and a fierce determination. Despite being outgunned and outmatched, they fought as though the very survival of their species depended on it, because, in a way, it did. There was no time for hesitation, no room for weakness. In the face of overwhelming odds, humanity's greatest strength was their unwavering resolve. This, General Xelier said quietly, is the human spirit. It is not their technology that makes them dangerous. It is their will to fight. Even in the face of certain death, they will fight for each other. They fight not just for victory, but for what they love. The students were silent, processing the raw emotion of what they had just witnessed. Bonner, in particular, couldn't tear his eyes away from the screen. He saw human soldiers, ordinary people, sacrificing themselves for the greater good. The image of a young soldier, his uniform torn and bloodied, throwing himself into the line of fire to protect a group of civilians, struck him to his core. The soldier's face was filled with a mixture of fear and determination, and when the explosion came, it was clear he had given everything for the people he cared about. As the footage ended, Bonner felt a lump form in his throat. The instructor's words echoed in his mind. Humans fight not just for victory, but for what they love. Bonner had never seen anything like this. He had read about warfare, about tactics and strategy, but this was something different. It wasn't about victory for the sake of conquest. It was about protecting the ones they cared for, about fighting for something bigger than themselves. The other students were equally affected. They had seen battles, sure, seen whole fleets clashing in the cold void of space, seen armies of robots and drones tearing through enemies with surgical precision. But this was something raw, something deeply human. The students, many of them hardened by years of training, now found themselves questioning their own understanding of warfare. Could they fight like this? Could they sacrifice everything for the people they loved? General Xelier, who had seen countless wars and battles, stood in front of the class, his expression unreadable. He knew this moment was crucial. The human soldiers in the footage had displayed something the galaxy's most advanced civilizations often lacked, a deep emotional connection to their cause, to their people. This was the key to understanding humanity's strength. It wasn't just their technology or their tactics. It was the power of their emotions, their desire to protect, to fight for the ones they loved, to survive against all odds. "This is the greatest weapon humans have," General Xelier said, his voice carrying an air of finality. "Their determination. Their ability to fight when there is no hope, when everything is lost. They will sacrifice themselves without hesitation for a cause they believe in. And that is why they are a force to be reckoned with." The room was quiet, each student lost in their thoughts. Bonner, in particular, found himself reflecting on everything he had learned so far. He had come into this lesson with a sense of superiority, confident that the advanced alien technology he and his peers had been trained to use would be enough to crush humanity. But now he wasn't so sure. The footage had shown him that there was more to fighting than just technology. There was heart. There was spirit. And those things couldn't be easily defeated. Bonner thought about the human soldier he had seen on the screen, the one who had sacrificed himself. He had fought not for glory, not for fame, but for the people he loved, for the ones who needed him. Bonner realized that this was the essence of humanity. It wasn't about cold, calculated strategy. It wasn't about overwhelming firepower. It was about something deeper, something that came from within. The instructor allowed the students some time to process what they had seen. It was clear that they were all deeply affected, each of them grappling with the emotional weight of the lesson. Bonner, who had always viewed himself as an objective student of war, now found himself questioning everything he had known. Could he, too, fight for something so important? Could he, like the humans in the footage, put everything on the line for the people he cared about? As the class ended and the students began to file out, Bonner remained seated for a moment longer. He looked at the images of the human soldiers on the screen, their faces filled with determination, fear, and courage. For the first time, he saw them not as primitive beings, but as warriors, a force to be respected. "General Xelier," Bonner said, his voice quiet but resolute. I think I understand now. Humans are not just a threat because of their technology. They're a threat because they fight for something bigger than themselves." General Xelier nodded, his expression softening. "Exactly, Bonner. And that is why, no matter how advanced the galaxy becomes, humanity will always find a way to survive." As Bonner walked out of the room, he couldn't shake the feeling that everything he had believed about humanity had just been turned upside down. The lesson had only just begun, but already he knew that the galaxy's view of Earth would never be the same again. The room was silent as General Xelier prepared to show the class the final chapter of humanity's war history, the moment when the mighty Galactic Empire made its fatal mistake by underestimating Earth. The holographic display flickered to life, and the students leaned forward, eager to witness what had been kept hidden for so long. Bonner, who had been skeptical at the start of the lesson, could feel a growing sense of unease settle over him. The screen revealed a vast fleet of alien warships, their sleek, dark forms hanging ominously in the void of space. The Galactic Empire, powerful and seemingly invincible, had arrived in Earth's solar system, ready to crush the primitive humans and claim their planet as part of their ever-expanding empire. Their superior technology, immense fleets, and powerful weapons were more than enough to wipe out any resistance. At least, that was what they thought. What they hadn't anticipated was humanity's ability to fight in ways no one else in the galaxy had ever considered. The instructor paused the video, his voice carrying a sense of gravitas. The Empire believed Earth was no more than an insignificant world, weak, primitive, and unworthy of serious consideration. They were wrong. With a gesture, the instructor activated another set of images. This time, it wasn't the Empire's ships that dominated the screen, but Earth's response. The first image showed massive orbital bombardments, Earth's defenses using long-range weapons capable of unleashing hell on the Empire's fleets. The Empire's ships, which once seemed so invulnerable, were torn apart by waves of devastating fire. The humans, using eye-controlled fleets and advanced military strategies, turned the tide of battle in their favor. Bonner watched, entranced by the scale of the destruction. He had known humans were resilient, but this was something else. The Empire's forces had been caught completely off guard. The humans, with their limited resources, had managed to outmaneuver one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. But this wasn't just about superior weaponry. It was about their ability to adapt, to use every available resource to their advantage. The instructor then showed a new set of images, this time taking the students into the heart of the battle itself, close quarters combat. The footage revealed a group of human soldiers fighting alien soldiers in narrow, dark corridors of a massive warship. The humans, outnumbered and outgunned, used the environment to their advantage, setting traps and ambushing the invaders with deadly precision. The humans fought with a brutal intensity, not just relying on their weapons, but on their ability to outthink and outmaneuver the aliens in tight, claustrophobic spaces. The students could only watch in awe as the humans used their surroundings to turn the tide. They didn't fight like the Empire or the advanced alien forces. They fought with ingenuity, using every corner, every shadow, every crevice to their advantage. It wasn't just strategy, it was survival. Bonner's heart raced as he watched a particularly intense scene unfold on the screen. A group of human soldiers, outnumbered 10-1, found themselves trapped in a narrow hallway. The alien soldiers advanced, confident in their superiority. But the humans, with a calculated move, triggered a series of traps that sent the aliens plummeting into pits or into walls, incapacitating them with brutal efficiency. The humans didn't just fight to win. They fought to survive. They fought with every ounce of their being. The footage shifted again, this time showing something far more terrifying. The lights in the room dimmed as the instructor activated a new image. The atmosphere in the classroom changed instantly. On the screen, Earth's star destroyers slowly emerged from the atmosphere, their massive, imposing forms breaking through the clouds like titans descending from the heavens. The students were silent as they watched in awe and fear. The star destroyers, the pride of humanity's military power, were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were massive, each one capable of unleashing devastating firepower. They were the final signal that humanity was not to be underestimated. The destroyers were humanity's answer to the Empire's forces, a reminder that Earth had fought for its survival and would continue to do so, no matter the cost. Bonner's heart thudded in his chest. The image of the star destroyers emerging from Earth's atmosphere filled him with a sense of dread. He had heard rumors, but seeing them in person was something entirely different. The humans were no longer the underdogs. They had fought back, and now they were preparing for an all-out war. It was clear that the Empire's initial arrogance had cost them dearly, and humanity's unpredictability had become their greatest weapon. Bonner looked around the room at his fellow students. He could see the fear in their eyes. These were the most battle-hardened soldiers in the galaxy, but even they couldn't deny the overwhelming sense of awe and fear that Earth's response had triggered. The Galactic Empire had made a critical mistake. They had underestimated humanity. And now, it was too late. The instructor's voice broke the silence. The Empire believed they could simply crush humanity with their superior technology. But they failed to account for Earth's most dangerous weapon, their unpredictability. The Empire never saw it coming. Bonner's mind was racing. He had always believed that the Empire's power was unmatched, that no one could stand against their might. But now, seeing the star destroyers and the footage of human soldiers turning the tide with nothing but their wits and determination, he wasn't so sure. He realized that humanity's strength didn't just lie in their technology. It was their ability to adapt, to think outside the box, and to fight in ways that no one else would dare to. That unpredictability, that sheer will to survive, had become their greatest weapon. As the class ended, Bonner stayed behind for a moment, his thoughts swirling. He had come into this lesson with a sense of superiority, confident in the Empire's power. But now he couldn't help but wonder, had the galaxy misjudged humanity? Could the Empire's arrogance be its undoing? The instructor looked at Bonner, his gaze understanding. "You're starting to see it, aren't you? The real danger humanity poses is not their technology, but their spirit. It is a force unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen." Bonner nodded slowly, the weight of the lesson settling in. He had witnessed the Galactic Empire's fatal mistake, underestimating Earth. And now he understood why humanity was more than just a threat. They were a force that could not be easily destroyed. And that was something the galaxy would soon have to reckon with. The atmosphere in the academy was heavy as the final lesson began. The instructor, his voice calm but carrying a sense of finality, looked out over his students. This was it, the last truth they needed to understand about humanity. As the lights dimmed and the holographic display flickered to life, the students braced themselves for what was about to unfold. Bonner, who had been questioning everything he had ever known, was about to witness the final lesson that would change his perception of Earth forever. "Humanity does not fight by the rules," the instructor began. His tone was serious, and there was no room for doubt. "They fight to survive. They adapt, and they win at any cost." The words hit Bonner hard. The arrogance he had once held toward humans, believing their primitive technology and seemingly weak resistance were their only strengths, was now shattered. Earth's fight wasn't about honor or following the established rules of warfare. It was about survival, about doing whatever it took to win. And that made humanity far more dangerous than any alien race could have imagined. As the instructor spoke, the class watched as the next set of visuals filled the room. It was the final strike, a moment when humanity, facing an overwhelmingly powerful alien force, launched an all-out assault. The display showed the massive alien fleet, technologically advanced and seemingly unstoppable, prepared to destroy humanity once and for all. But what came next was something none of them had expected. Earth's response was a stunning combination of cutting-edge war machines, human ingenuity, and AI tactics working in perfect harmony. The humans had learned from every battle, every struggle, and every failure. They had adapted, building their forces to take on opponents much stronger than themselves. The scene on the screen was nothing short of breathtaking. Human soldiers, piloting advanced war machines, charged into battle alongside AI-controlled drones that moved with precision, adapting to the enemy's every move. The alien forces, stunned by the sheer unpredictability of humanity's tactics, struggled to adjust. The humans didn't play by the expected rules of warfare. They weren't bound by convention, by honor, or by any preconceived notions of how a battle should be fought. They used the environment, they used deception, and they used every weapon at their disposal to outthink and outfight their opponents. Bonner's heart raced as he watched the humans maneuver their war machines with breathtaking precision. The AI systems didn't just follow commands. They learned, adapted, and countered the alien tactics in real time. What humanity lacked in raw power, they made up for with cleverness and sheer willpower. They didn't just fight the battle, they changed the rules of engagement. For the first time, Bonner understood what made humanity so dangerous. It wasn't their advanced weapons or technology. It was their ability to improvise, to think on their feet, and to turn every situation to their advantage. The human spirit, the unyielding will to survive, was their greatest strength. And in that moment, Bonner realized that the alien empire's arrogance had blinded them to this truth. As the battle on the screen raged on, Bonner's mind drifted to his own experiences. He thought about his comrades, the ones who had fallen in battles long before. The pain of their loss still lingered in his heart. The faces of those he had fought alongside flashed before his eyes. Courageous souls who had given everything for their cause. He remembered the fear, the desperation, and the determination that had burned in their eyes as they faced insurmountable odds. But there was something different about how the humans fought. They didn't just fight for victory. They fought for each other. They fought to protect their loved ones, to safeguard their homes, to defend their way of life. And that made them stronger than any army, any empire, or any alien civilization. The scene shifted again, this time focusing on a particular human soldier, an individual who had become the symbol of humanity's unyielding will. This soldier, a lone figure against an entire alien army, had charged forward without hesitation. His comrades had fallen around him, but he pressed on, knowing that he couldn't let them down. He fought not for glory, but for the survival of his people. In the end, he made the ultimate sacrifice, giving his life to protect those who remained.